I suppose there was two things I found. I came over looking for some First Amendment freedom of speech and didn't necessarily find it in one of America's elite colleges. In fact, I found the total opposite. I never found an environment to be so politically hostile before and so willing to censor, so willing to shut people down, and so willing to cancel people. I was completely blown away. I mean, really, really blown away.
Hello, I'm Philip McAleer.
And I'm Anne McElhenney.
And welcome to the Anne Film Scoop. I hope you had a good Labour Day.
Yes, I hope you did enjoy Labour Day.
Yes.
So what's on the show today, Philip?
Well, it's never been more important that for university campuses to know the truth about October 7. So we're going to bring the October 7 play to Bowdoin College in Maine. We announced that last week. Bowdoin is a prominent college and it was plagued with encampments or mini encampments. So there are a lot of reasons for bringing it there. The truth, it's always important to bring the truth to places. We're going to be talking to the person who is going to host it there, who's going to be a student driving awareness there. So it's going to be very interesting. We hope to see you all on September 18th. We'll talk about that later on in the show. What else is on the show? We're going to talk about
a despicable man who shot a group of children in a Catholic church in Minneapolis.
Yes,
really extraordinary. But what was, to add to the evil, the way that the media have reported on this horror is the most egregious example of malfeasance, of late. It's and it's hard actually to choose between really awful mainstream media malfeasance, but this one really takes the
yeah. It's a terrible story made worse by the media pandering to the man's delusions. We'll talk about that during the show. And I just saw a story and I wanted to talk about it because what was the last holiday we went on an Amtrak train event? Wasn't
good.
What was it? No, not Labour Day. No.
Rhode Island to...
No, but we went on some public holiday. What's that public holiday? Memorial Day?
Maybe it was...
Busiest day of the year?
I think it was Memorial Day.
Yeah, we went on an Amtrak trip. We were persuaded to do it by some friends. And so Amtrak, anyway, have launched the new generation of trains, super duper new generation of trains. And they are so last generation. They're not even last generation. They're pre-generation. So we'll talk about that in the show. So we're going to go to talk to Zach Asplin, who is the leader of the Bowdoin Conservatives, who's hosting the October 7 play at Maine. But first we want to play a clip.
Yeah, we're going to play a clip. And this is Shani, a young girl who was at the Nova party, and we watch what happened to her on that day. And this is just a short clip.
Yeah, just a reminder, October 7th was the biggest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. I think 300 or 400 young people were murdered at a dance party, at the Nova dance party, and
she's one of the lucky survivors of that. Yeah. Let's go over to that right now.
There's an opening in the leaves that casts a ray of sunshine on me. The glitter on my face and jewelry catches the light, and I think it's really dangerous, so I start removing all my jewelry. I have a necklace, and on it is written, Vish Marak, the blessing of the priest Yevarak, Adonai Vish Marak. The Lord will save you and will guard you. I'm not a religious person, but I really felt that I needed that protection. So I held it tight, and I started to pray. And suddenly I saw a bird flying. And the bird flew and landed on a branch close to my hand. And I don't know how to explain it or to describe the feeling, but I really felt that my grandfather, of blessed memory, was with me. When I got home later that night and told my mom, she told me the date my grandfather died, October 7th, 2016.
Amazing. Yeah, we love Shani. And the actress was extraordinary. When we had the play in New York, by the way, the actual Shani came on stage and met the actress. So you can imagine.
Let's just play that clip actually now. Just a quick clip of that.
Just a very special, very special day. For Jenny. Jenny, come out. Can Shani come up from the audience?
my hero. Playing her, she is my hero. To see this woman who survived all of this is amazing. She is a hero. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the interview now with Zach and discuss bringing this wonderful play to Bowdoin, Maine. So we're joined now by Zach Asplin of Bowdoin Conservatives, who are co-hosting the October 7 play at Bowdoin. Zach, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me today.
Good to see you.
So Zach, you're obviously, with an accent like that, you're obviously from
Maine.
Maine, yeah. Tell us where you're from, how you ended up at Bowdoin, and how you ended up inviting the October 7 play to come to Bowdoin, and why is it important?
You know, I am still asking myself that question. I'm British, obviously, if you can't tell. So I grew up in England, and I always wanted to come to the United States for college. I think it's a better place for college. And if you know anything about British politics, I think that the United States is, generally speaking, a little bit freer. And for me, that was part of the impetus. As I'm interested in politics, it's something I want to go into. Bowdoin offered a full scholarship, and I headed over the pond to Maine. There I was, going to an equally cold place in America, but
I think it's a bit colder than the UK now.
Yes, well, some parts of the UK.
actually, yeah,
surely.
it is pretty chilly. It was an adjustment, but there was I suppose there was two things I found. I came over looking for some First Amendment freedom of speech, and didn't necessarily find it in one of America's elite colleges. In fact, I found the total opposite. I never found an environment to be so politically hostile before, and so willing to censor, so willing to shut people down, and so willing to cancel people. I was completely blown away. I mean, really, really blown away. And when I came to Bowdoin, there was no right of centre organisation whatsoever. So I set up Bowdoin Conservatives, and we grew, and we've got pretty good. And then a big issue on all college campuses, as is on Bowdoin, became the Israel-Hamas conflict and the ongoing situation in the Middle East. And it blew up and everything of the sort. And we tried to run some events which were trying to provide some alternative perspective on campus. But, you know, these things were getting boycotted. At one point, we had one speaker come in who was pretty moderate, but we had a full sit-in protest, the first one since the Vietnam War to take place at Bowdoin.
Wow.
And there was 100 people sat in this gauntlet down this corridor with signs of fake blood on and things like that. And so if you just wanted to go to the lecture, you had to walk through this silent sit-in gauntlet protest of your peers. And this is a small school, so everyone knows each other too, which makes it even more threatening.
Yeah.
Of your peers just sort of staring you down. And a lot of these people didn't agree with the speaker. They just wanted to hear the speaker out.
Yeah.
And this, to me, seemed that something had gone really, really wrong.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, did the college do anything about this very intimidating setup?
So Bowdoin Security were wonderful. They always are. They always come out and help. And the administration weren't expecting this sort of huge gauntlet sit-in protest. Now, I'm also not a believer in cancelling free speech. So I don't believe in cancelling the protest either. But there has to be a better way forward, because you cannot be threatening and intimidating students like that. So I think the administration have said quite clear that will not be allowed to happen again. There'll be no sort of sit-in protest allowed to happen again. They actually took quite a firm approach, which I was quite pleased with.
Were there encampments and things at Bowdoin? How bad was it? How bad did it get?
So the funny thing about it wasn't as bad as you see at, say, Columbia or some of these bigger schools. If you remember, we're in a rural area in Maine, and we have 2,000 students. So generally you have a little bit of a lag time. We're quite sort of isolated from the rest of the world, so we don't get the sort of full brunt of political events. However, we did have an encampment. It came a little bit late. Most of the encampments, as you might remember, were last year, and they lasted on the quads and things like that. But as you know, Maine is a state which you don't want to be out in the quad in the middle of winter. And these,
Yeah, funny.
these people
I was going
Yeah.
to suggest that there might have been something there in the weather. You know, that these protesters actually, for all of their vigor and passion, they also don't like to get that cold. So when did they choose to do the encampment?
So they chose this year, they advertised it as the first encampment of the Trump administration, i.e. they were too scared to go outside in the cold. And so they were still too scared to go outside in the cold. So they decided to encamp in our student union. This is you have to really feel sorry for them. This is a building with a cinema, with, access to food, full water. You have the gym attached as well. They have a cafe. You've got 3 stories of nice seating and comfortable sofas. So they really had a tough time when encamping in our student union.
And what happened to the rest of the students when this encampment happened at the student union?
Well, it was very odd. It lasted about 5 days to about a week. It started to grow, so a lot of people. It began with about 40 students. It grew massively overnight to about 100 or so, and then over the course of the week, people started to flake out. This was too much for them, and then it ended only with about 12 people, and the rest of the student body was I think split. Half of them were really, really annoyed that they'd just taken over our student union quite carelessly. And then the others, I think, were sort of rather nonchalant. We just tried to ignore it. I think a lot of people on campus did. And then some people were supporters, and they were supporting from outside.
Yeah. So I suppose this is a good time to bring the play to Bowdoin. How did you hear about the play, and why did you think this play was appropriate to bring to Bowdoin? Because just to remind people, it's the verbatim testimony of people who lived through the day, survived the day, fought back, were bereaved. It's the truth. There's no editorializing. So why did you think that was important to come? It's a rather than a speaker.
So I mean, everyone brings all right of center groups or pro-Israel groups or something like that bring talking heads to campus. They're not going to get through to people. I mean, this is a really, really hot debate topic. And so I don't think bringing a talking head to campus would actually get through to anyone. No one will be able to empathize. No one will be able to understand the alternative viewpoint here that I'm trying to bring to campus. And honestly, I mean, I was introduced to October 7th, the play, by I know a friend of yours and somebody who I met at an ISI conference who's a Bowdoin alumni, and he introduced me to the idea of it. And I mean, as soon as I saw the idea of it, I thought this is completely different. A verbatim play, word for word, uneditorialized, something which actually speaks to people's hearts because they actually hear other people's accounts. It isn't just facts thrown at them. It isn't the type of well-scripted propaganda type things that the National SJP and the rest of the Student Justice for Palestine groups push out. This is accounts from individuals who survived their day, uneditorialized, so it's not a politicized message. It's almost a bad thing that Bowdoin conservatives are the ones bringing it, because we don't want this to be a politicized message. We want this to be, here you go, look at this play, look at these verbatim testimonies, and give them a hear out, and think about it. And I think that's all we're trying to do. And I think that is a perfect message that a place like Bowdoin needs. It's creative, and it's a different way of I think, spreading an important message.
Yeah.
It's completely creative. It's a whole new way of tackling an issue.
Yeah. So tell people where it's going to be on and when.
So we've got Pickard Theatre, which is our main theatre. It seats about 800 on 2 stacks. And that is at Bowdoin College, and it's going to be Thursday, September the 18th, and 7:30 p.m. And doors open at 7 p.m. to get seats. All tickets are completely free. We wanted to make sure this event was free to the public and free to students, so as many people can come up along as possible. I encourage everyone to register as many tickets as they can and come along.
No, that's fantastic. And we'll actually put the link as well for people. We'll have it there on the screen, but we'll also put it in the show notes for people so that people have no difficulty. And people should send it on to other people in the area that they know might want to join us that evening. And we're looking forward. We're very much looking forward to coming to Maine. Hopefully the weather won't be too cold.
I think September the 18th should be okay. And I think also it's a nice time. It's about 20 days, less than that even, before what's going to be the anniversary of this awful day.
Yes.
And what I think is, when I was seeing a lot of the audience reactions on your website, what I've noticed was, yes, this is a horrible tale. I mean, it's a horrible story this happened, but there's also a great deal of strength in the Jewish people, and I'm not myself a Jewish person, as I know you guys aren't. But it's really important that message also comes out of this. This is a group which this has scarred the collective consciousness of Jews across the world, but they can come through this, and it's important that we support and all come together on college campuses, etc., to make sure that hatred isn't allowed to spread.
That's a very good point, Zach. I mean, and I think it was Leslie Bell, the Holocaust historian, who saw the play off Broadway, and she said, she thought her heart was going to break.
She thought she would hear her heart break.
Yeah, but she left the play with a sense of hope
and inspiration
because really it's a tale of resilience.
Yeah,
the people they've suffered terribly. Many of them lost people. Many of them witnessed friends being murdered, but they came out alive. They came out stronger. They came out with faith. And it's a tale of resilience and hope, not just of terrible things happening.
And we've been looking at some of the people, who have been auditioning to be in the play, to go and bring the stage reading to Bowdoin, and it's we have a fantastic cast. I mean, it's going to be extraordinary, and I really encourage people to come. We're really looking forward to it.
We actually have two members at the moment. We have two members of the New York cast,
and we have one of the original cast members who's actually directing it, Jeff Gurner. So we're really happy to have him on board. He also directed the Princeton staged reading, which was a huge success. So we're very much looking forward to seeing you and coming to Bowdoin in September. Thank you so much.
And you guys are exactly what we need.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
So September 18th, 7:30, Pickard Hall on Bowdoin campus.
Pickard Theatre.
Yes, Pickard Theatre on Bowdoin campus.
Yeah. Looks gorgeous. Thank you.
Thanks
so much. Bye.
So I'm looking forward to going. Have you ever been to Maine, Anne?
I don't know if I've ever been to Maine, although maybe we've been to Portland, Maine. I don't know.
I think you might.
I think I might have spoken in Maine at one point.
I don't think I've ever been to Maine.
Okay, we're going to be going to Maine then, but we're going to actually just come out of that interview. I think it's really important actually. Let's have another clip from the play, and this is a really powerful, and it kind of shows that in this play, despite how very tough the subject matter is, there is actually bizarrely humour.
Well, there's always humour in the darkest, especially I don't know if this is a stereotype but these are Jewish people. So they always find humour in the darkest times. We interviewed these people. They are amazing characters. They're amazing people, thinking what they've been through. Let's watch that clip now.
Lolly helped me navigate.
Okay, turn right. No, don't go over there. There's birds flying from the trees. They're shooting people over there. Okay, go between there. Take a left here. Go.
There were three of us in the car. My friend Gilad was in the back. Lolly, my girlfriend, God, she was so calm. She was in the front with me, and I'm driving. These Hamas vehicles, they're barreling right towards us, guns and everything. Lolly was hiding. And this one guy on a motorcycle, this terrorist, he was so close. I was staring him right in the eyes, and him back at me. And I nod to him like we know each other, like we're together. And he nods back at me, like you're okay. And then he sees my girlfriend, he starts shouting in Arabic, shoot the Jews, kill the Jews, slaughter the Jews. I take a big left. One bullet hits the back door. Gilad starts yelling. Fuck, I got shot in the head. Don't worry, I'll get us out of here. My girlfriend starts to pray.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
The guy on the motorcycle, he tries to shoot again, so I swerve into him. He flies off of his bike 2 meters into the air, into the fields. And then another. So I just turn into him, I just catch him with the back of my car, and he flies off. I swear, if I had had a camera attached to the car, I could have sold the footage to Spielberg himself. I did what I did, my girlfriend said the prayer, and then I did what I did. It's not even about the prayer, it's about what I had to do.
Okay, so don't forget, September 18th.
Yeah, and please share that with anyone you know that's in the area. We really want to fill that theatre to capacity. And as he said, it's about 800 on 2 different levels. So please sign up quickly and often. Yes. So we've had this incredibly awful event that's happened obviously last week. Minnesota, Minneapolis, this shooting by this trans shooter. And I mean, everything about it is just absolutely horrific. But one aspect that we just want to focus on today, this one aspect that we want to focus on, is how the mainstream media have decided to report on this horrific.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if you know this, right? But this was a trans shooter, like many of the recent mass shootings. You know, it's an untold story. The aptitude for violence of trans men who pretend to be women. There seems to be whether it's the drugs or whether it's the mental illness that makes them think they're women. There is an aptitude for violence. What was I remember I tweeted something like, somebody wrote something about a violent trans woman, and I said that's no need to put the word violent in. And I remember the Irish Independent wrote to me when they were doing a feature on us and said, as an ambush,
Oh, yeah.
How dare you write this? This is about 2 years ago. How dare you write this? And I responded and I said, the Russians have a phrase, in every joke there's a little humor,
Yes. Yeah.
So it was true. It was true then. It's true now. I know you're not supposed to say it, but I'm happy to say it. You go as a journalist and ask these trans nut jobs a couple of hard questions, they will immediately resort to violence.
Yeah.
Immediately. Yeah. Actually, Graham Linehan, who we've had on the show, he's going to be on trial later this week for assaulting a trans person who was basically harassing him at a conference. So this person was trans. It's actually a relevant part. It's a relevant part of the story that should be told, because it may be the reason why the shooting happened. The motive is a mystery. Now, the person was anti-Trump, anti-Jewish, the whole progressive package. But the media have excelled in truly appalling behavior.
Yeah, and everywhere in the world, by the way, not just not in one place. It's not just an American problem. So the New York Times ran this headline, and I'm just putting it up there on the screen. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Minneapolis suspect knew her target, but motive is a mystery. The shooter who attacked a Catholic school on Wednesday posted social media videos, etc., etc. Knew her target. Her target. This is a man who did this. This is a boy who did this. This is a man who did this. The Irish Times, by the way, just so we can, just to show you that this is a global disease that all the media are suffering from. Here's the Irish Times headline: Robin Westman profile. Minneapolis school shooting suspect posted videos fixated on guns and violence. Suspect who killed 2 children appeared to know her target well and is believed to have attended school. So, I mean, obviously, by the way, in Minneapolis, they're going to be recording this as a crime by a woman, right? Rather than by a man. Yeah. Also very confusing. And also the Sky News Australia, just to go on another continent. Minneapolis gunman identified as transgender woman with Kill Trump manifesto after 2 children killed, 17 injured in shooting during Catholic school. And then underneath that subheading, again with the Sky News, is the crazed gunman who killed 2 children in a shooting at Catholic school in the US before turning the gun on herself. I love that, by the way. The crazed gunman turned the gun on herself and had posted a series of videos online in which she flipped through a disturbing handwritten manifesto.
I mean, I wanted to say a number of things. First of all, it's appalling that they do this. It's appalling.
It's gaslighting.
It's gaslighting, but it's also terrible, terrible, terrible journalism.
Go on.
Journalism is about making things clear for people.
Yes.
It's really what it's all about. You take a 500-page report and you have to summarize it in 800 words or 1,000
That's
words.
The skill.
That's the skill. That's what people are paying money for. That's why they're going to you, because they don't have time to read the 500
pages. They didn't have time. They can't go to Minneapolis. So they were depending on you to tell them what happened in Minneapolis.
Yes.
And you're telling them that it was a woman, and it wasn't a woman.
No, it wasn't a woman. And in fact, it's relevant that it's a man who thinks he's a woman.
Yes.
Because it could be either part of the trans madness, or it could be the drugs they're on to make them.
It's very, very relevant. It's very relevant.
Very
and actually, having now looked at quite a bit of the manifesto and listened to this man's rantings, I mean, there's a whole section, by the way, where he says, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this transgender stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, he actually comes out and says that. So this is very relevant. But I don't think we're going to see that anywhere in the mainstream media. But I'd love to be surprised, by the way.
The media has a special position in America. It's protected by the Constitution.
Yep.
I always say the great thing about I can go up to anyone on the street and ask them anything as a journalist.
I remember when I started journalism, and you said that to me. You can ask people questions, and I remember specifically remembering this saying to you, but people won't talk to me. And you always said, people love to tell you their story. People love to talk to you, and that's actually been our experience. Very, very rarely will you find somebody not willing to talk.
Yeah. But also, if they don't want to talk, that's fine also. But journalism, I can't go up to, it's really weird for me to go up in the street and say, have you ever, cheated on your wife? Or how much money do you make? But if I go up as a journalist and there's a legitimate journalistic reason for asking this question,
Yeah.
I'm allowed to ask it. Nobody thinks it's particularly weird. Nobody,
In particular, and people come out with all kinds of stuff that it's unbelievable, and a lot of journalists take advantage of it.
It's a privilege. You see, it's an amazing privilege that you have, that you can ask.
I think it's going to get more difficult for journalists because of this kind of behaviour. I think this is going to be a death knell to journalism, because people, if they can't even get the simplest thing right when it's actually very likely incredibly relevant.
Well, look, the fact checker in the Washington Post, the four Pinocchios, he has been fired now. Took early redundancy. This is the guy who said that the videos of Joe Biden being out of it were deep fakes and were false. And, if he'd done his job, if he had called out, well, actually, if he'd said what you see with your eyes is true, he would still have a job.
Yeah.
He would be the most read column in America.
Yeah.
Instead, he was read by an increasingly small number of people who believed him, actually.
Yes.
And then when they saw what Joe Biden was like in the debate, they stopped believing him. So even his fans wanted the truth also.
Yeah.
They felt cheated. That's why so many of these left-wing cable shows have just fallen off a cliff, because they thought Kamala was going to have a record landslide. It was going to be like the second Reagan election.
Incredible shock.
They were thinking about her in Iowa.
But just to go back to Minneapolis, obviously it's an incredible tragedy, and these two beautiful children. And I know, as we're recording this early because of Labor Day, and we're really hoping that it remains as only two fatalities, but it's still these two small children. It's absolutely horrific. And I just saw one of the fathers of one of the children speaking, an extraordinary man. And he was so measured and so such a loving person, and just talked about what they're all the things they're going to miss in the life of their darling child. Just horrific. But to come away from that horror, by the way, I have good news. It's nice to have some good news for people. So a really nice headline in LAist, just as we go to record here today. Children's Hospital Los Angeles announces hundreds of layoffs, citing funding issues.
Hold on, Anne McElhinney. Hold on a moment. You're smiling.
Oh, I know.
Joyously.
At Children's
Hospital Los Angeles announcing hundreds of layoffs.
Yeah,
How, you monster.
I know. 253 employees, with another 186 being offered other roles.
Think of
it. It made you think, other roles. So people are being moved into other roles, and some people are being sacked. So then
think of the children, Anne.
Even LAist had to go and say, they have like this section where they go, the backstory. And LAist says the backstory is that when Children's Hospital Los Angeles closed its gender-affirming clinic this summer, a decision that was spurred and celebrated by Trump and all of us, administration officials, it cited similar issues with, whatever. So basically, the gender-affirming clinic at Children's Hospital,
a children's gender-affirming clinic,
was closed. And, just digging back into that, and some of you will remember, and we talked about this before in the podcast, the medical director of that gender-affirming clinic was Joanna Olson Kennedy, Dr. Joanna Olson Kennedy. You'll remember her. She was the doctor who, in 2015, by the way, received $9.7 million in an NIH grant to fund research. And where did you hear what the research was into, Phelim? It was the impact of early medical treatment in transgender youth. Sounds like a good idea, by the way.
That is a great idea. Right? Let's do that, because actually one would get the impression that they're kind of experimenting on children.
Yes, so this would be important, that we would work out exactly what's going on. So, and this study, given this amazing amount of money as well, made it one of the largest studies of its kind involving gender puberty blockers. And in the study, and by the way, this is where it gets, like the horror show, 95 children around the age of 11 were given puberty blockers, and they were to be tracked for 2 years, particularly for their mental health, and see how their mental health was going.
The idea would be that if you you'd
be so much happier.
So much happier if you got the puberty blockers.
So then what happened? So then what happened is Olson refused to publish her findings.
What?
Yeah, she refused. And by the way, I can't even compute that. It's like, sorry, we paid you for something, and it's, by the way, taxpayers' money.
By the way, it's $9 million.
It's a huge amount of money.
95 kids, like it's not.
Why though, Phelim? Why didn't she want to publish? And the reason was, she said the results. I might not give you her actual quote. She said, this is what she told the New York Times. She said that she was concerned that the findings could be weaponized by critics of gender-affirming care, the unwashed, like ourselves, Phil,
Yes.
or used in court or policy debates to argue against puberty blockers. And when you dig a little bit more into the story, and of course it's clear as mud, by the way, the information around this.
Yes.
One of the things that I think is incredible is that she had said at the time that this cohort, these children, these 95 darlings, these 95 children who, by the way, have parents who are going through this nightmare, she described them as being in really good shape when they came in, and they're in really good shape after 2 years. But apparently that's actually not true, because it turns out that 25% of them, at least 25% of them, were suicidal or seriously depressed before they received the treatment. But what my favorite thing about this story, and I love this, and this is kind of just something because it's a horror story. It's Frankenstein.
I just want to be clear. The reason she didn't publish was because it showed negative effects of puberty blockers, and that
she didn't want to give us any fuel, Phelan.
That's right.
And J.K. Rowling, who has been an absolute saint and champion and Joan of Arc and every kind of thing you can possibly, and should be winning all kinds of awards for what she's done. She wrote, and I just love this. She translated Olson Kennedy's reluctance to publish. She translated this as this: "We must not publish a study that says we're harming children, because people who say we're harming children will use the study as evidence that we're harming children, which might make it really difficult for us to continue to harm children."
Yes, well said, Jake.
Well said, J.K. Rowling. We just love you.
We have to go. I just wanted one little thing. The Acela new next generation train, which has free Wi-Fi. Wow. Ooh. Yes, and you know, and plugs in every seat. We took the. Oh, by the way, do you know how long it takes the new generation Acela to go from Boston to New York?
I saw this and I didn't believe it.
7 hours. And you know how long it takes to drive in the best road?
No way.
7 hours.
Oh my God.
So horse and buggy, where are you? Okay, listen, thank you for joining us. We will see you next week. Don't forget October7theplay.com. I think is where
please share it with friends who are in Maine or who would like to travel to Maine to join us. Phelan and I will be there in Bowdoin, and we would love to see you.
So it's October7theplay.com. So it's October7Bowdoin.com. Share the link, please.
We'll put all of those up in the show notes, by the way, all those links, so that you can find how to get tickets. And we really would love to see you. We would also love your support to help us do this kind of work. And you can support us by going to unreportedstoriesociety.com and donating.
We're a 501c3.
We are a 501c3. Thank you so much.
Adios, amigos.
Bye.